The demon lord you're watching right now is Kim Jang-kyul, an ordinary graduate school student in Korea. Yesterday, he suddenly became the Demon King Kratos, the final boss of the game he liked playing. Sounds like a typical story, right? The aim of the game called Paladin of Blood was to revive the ancient hero who had fallen asleep. But our demon lord thinks telling us about that story would not even help, so he omits it entirely and comes straight to the problem at hand. His level 15 aide, Zephyros, approaches him to inform him that the preparations for war have been completed. The demon army is so ready to end their starvation with the invasion of the human world. The army includes level 534 Azurat, level 531 Sergei, level 555 Hartok, and level 539 Baal. Demon King Kratos stands before them and yells to get their attention. Everyone listens attentively as their menacing demon lord announces to all the demon folk they will stop the attack and start farming. His subjects are dumbfounded and complain that it is absurd, but the demon lord yells out that they are so freaking scary and leaves his subjects stupefied. This is the start of the playthrough, which prompts the playable character aged Kimchi of level 999 to wake up. Kratos knows he will definitely die by the hero's hands if they start this war. Kim Jang-kyul became a graduate student in a farming course at Korea University in hopes of becoming a rich farmer. He was freaking clever, so he became the ace of his course in no time. Being the top student meant that the professors asked him to write their visas and help with their projects and even asked him to plow the field. In short, he became the #1 slave. He felt dull when he thought that he was doing all the work, but the professors were getting all the credit. His dopamine was depleted, and he was going crazy. The only way to get his dopamine boost was to play games, a game that was super difficult and very hard to level up in. No player has cleared this game for the 19th time. Kim Jang-kyul wanted to feel a sense of achievement so badly that he played the game without sleeping at all. At last, he became the first person to clear the Paladin of Blood for the 19th time. Kim Jang-kyul felt great pleasure of being the strongest in the world, but he could not just stop there. The 20th playthrough was going to be hellish, so he leveled up the main character to the max level of 999. He went for the 20th playthrough, but as soon as he pressed the yes button, the display went so bright that it literally sucked his soul out of him. His soul entered the screen and appeared under a bright blue sky. Kim Jang-kyul had no idea what was going on, but he remained calm. He was clever after all. He noticed he was blue in color, meaning this was his soul, so he probably would not fall and die, probably. He recognized the Tower of Life and instantly realized that he had entered the game Paladin of Blood. The direction he was going was the Tomb of Paladin, so he was super excited to assume that he was going to possess his character aged Kimchi, which is almost at max level. How the ad he was going to be invincible. However, when Kim Jang-kyul sees the Sleeping Beauty, he thinks he does not really want to turn into that. And just like that, his direction changes to a completely new destination, the Demon Lord Kratos. Now our Demon Lord Kratos sighs heavily because the whole situation is driving him nuts. If he had not had that stupid thought after looking at aged Kimchi back there, he could have become the most overpowered character. Zephyros is walking the hallway when he heard someone shout that the Demon Lord Kratos had gotten weaker, and that is why he got scared and stopped the attack. As expected, it is Asura suggesting others to cut off Kratos' head and share the authority. Hartak pipes in that if Kratos has not gotten weaker, 2 out of the 4 of them will either suffer fatal injuries or die. Sergei tells Azurat that they can give it a try if he offers to be their shield. Ball just thinks about his starving stomach. Azurat asks what they will do if there is evidence that the Demon Lord has gotten weaker. Their answer is simple in that case. They will have to eliminate the Demon Lord. Zephyros hears about their planning from outside the door. Later, Zephyros reports to the Demon Lord that the morale of their army has completely plummeted. There have been many cases of people attacking and devouring each other internally, and some also left the land of the demons without notice. He also reports that the 4 great generals are enraged. They say he has gotten weaker and are planning to work together cut off his head. Kratos sweats buckets because he thinks if the 4 of them attack him together, he will definitely die. He wonders about aged Kimchi. Since he did not possess it, it could be just a quartz right now. He is thinking about charging into the human world, but then Zephyros presents the video of the tomb of the paladin that was sent by General Ogmia. The orb shows a very ruthless aged Kimchi striking the poor demon so much that he shrieks in pain. Aged Kimchi even gouges out the demon's eyes and holds the recording device in a selfie pose. Demon Lord Kratos trembles as he thinks that invading the Earth won't work. He does not want to meet that guy, so he must stay in the palace no matter what. At this rate, he will either appear weak or choose to surrender, and the 4 great demon generals will eliminate him. If he charges into the human world, aged Kimchi will gouge out his eyes and throw him away. The great demon lord cries about coming into this game world if he can't even find happiness. He's clever, so he thinks that the only way would be to resolve the issue of food and get the demons to calm down. Zephyros asks where he is headed, so the demon lord politely tells him that he's going to look at some lands for farming. Zephyros looks skeptical, but the demon lord glares at him. Zephyros explains that Lord Kratos is narcissistic, arrogant, and mannerless. For him to be polite is gross and horrifying. Kratos is dubious about Zephyros for saying such provoking stuff and wonders if he was always playing such a character. Zephyros appeared just once before the battle with the Demon King without any explanation. That actually made him quite a popular character. He only had 2 lines. One, telling the main character that the Demon Lord no longer wishes to fight him, and the second one after his defeat, asking the Demon Lord to forgive him for being too weak to protect him. The players thought that he was just either very loyal to the Demon Lord or really respected him. However, Zephyros is really annoying in this version, nagging him about the blunder just now and losing that much trust from the demons. Zephyros even tells him that his memory is only as good as a pigeon's if he is thinking to farm in the land of the demons. Kratos snaps at him and warns him not to push his luck, but Zephyros does not get scared and continues his speech. He reminds Kratos that both the former Demon Lord and even himself have already tried farming in this land. With the harsh and extreme temperature differences, nothing grows on this land. Kratos knows that this land is called the Land of Death, but he believes that it is possible to save this land with his current abilities. He really hates farming, but he needs to survive first. He fiercely starts scraping the land and puts it into his mouth. Zephyros records that the Demon Lord is strange and became a beggar who eats dirt. Kriegos tells him to stop it, but Zephyros says he is just performing his duties. Recording the Demon Lord's chronicles is important after all. Kratos thinks is a pain in the head. Kratos spits out the dirt as he analyzes that the ground here has 0 nutrients and there's no nitrogen. Nitrogen is an element that is necessary for the growth of plants. However, plants are unable to make use of the nitrogen in the air by themselves, even though it makes up to 78% of the atmosphere because the atoms form solid triple bonds, making it nearly impossible for them to undergo chemical reactions. Thus, humanity developed the nitrogen fixation process through chemical engineering, leading to a huge increase in food production. But to do that here is impossible as there is nothing to be used as the foundation for farming. That means they need to make use of the nitrogen fixation mechanism in nature, that is lightning. Using its high voltage, nitrogen is oxidized into nitrate and mixes into rainwater to get absorbed into the soil. Fortunately, the main technique of Demon Lord Kratos is the Bloody Strike. It explodes both lightning and moisture at the same time. It really is a technique made for creating fertile soil. Kratos tells Zephyros to stand back as he initiates his Bloody Strike. But bloody hell, it freaking hurts. To make it worse, Kratos notices the demon generals watching him, and there's one thing plaster on their faces, that he has gotten weaker. Kratos shrieks, but Sephiroth states as a matter of factly that he has gotten weaker, making him believe that he is definitely an assassin here to provoke him. Bloody Strike is way better than dying here, so Kratos uses the ability and slashes on his own hand. But the only thing it causes is a bloody hand, blood pooling on the ground, and Demon Lord shrieking because it hurts. His great demon generals approach him to ask if he is feeling unwell, making the great Demon Lord worry about his safety. Somewhere in the human lands, the playable character stands. He has some faint memories of his previous life, so he knows that he has lived this life more than 10 times, and he headed for that place every time. He moved because of the summon of duty that led him there, but now is gone. The summon of duty no longer says anything, so he does not know what he lives for now. He is now an NPC named Aged Kimchi at level 999. The 4 demon generals advance towards the Demon Lord, while Azurat reminds him of the rule of the demons that the strongest is the Demon Lord. Kratos trembles in fear because each one of his general is freaking strong and he can't even use his skill now. He thinks he's going to die, but when Azurat witnesses his trembling body, he is impressed by the incredible pressure and thinks that the Demon Lord is gathering his strength to the point his body is trembling. However, Azurat still gulps down his fear and asks if Kratos can defeat the 4 of them in his current state. He soon notices that he is the only one standing front of the Demon Lord while the others are hiding behind a thin tree. Using his expression, he asks what they are up to, and his companions tell him that they will watch him fight and will only join if it looks possible. Azurat curses the evil fellows, but they point out that they are demons, so of course, they are evil. On the other end, Zephyros instantly starts the match and explains that based on the long-term tradition of demons, all fights are to the death and there's no giving up. Both object, but the match is already broadcasting. Azurat motivates himself that Kratos is weakened right now so he can win. Kratos is under a lot of pressure as well since he tested his strength, but he is not strong enough to brag about it. Azurat pounces at him, making the Demon Lord shriek, because he has seen that movement in the game, and there's no way he can dodge something like that. However, his body dodges it somehow, and even he does not know how he did that. Kratos notices that Azurat's left foot is pointing outwards, and that means he will definitely use a thrust. This is the exact same motion as in the game. On the other hand, Hartak and Sergei analyze that Kratos was about to counter-attack and tear off Azeroth's arm, but he dodged it instead. Kratos continues to dodge every attack as he realizes that all of Azeroth's movements are exactly the same as the game's. When he first came across Azeroth, he was absolutely taken aback. He is fast, throws in fiends that are offbeat, and even has a wide range of attacks. However, after dying multiple times, he was finally able to defeat him for the first time on his 120 try. In the next 19 playthroughs, he was able to completely make a fool out of Ashrat, but having a no-hit run. Simply put, there's no way Ashrat's attacks will hit him. Kratos laughs hysterically, but his demon generals feel great pressure of his power. He dodges every attack like a child's play, making the demon generals think that he is laughing at Azeroth for being weak and is enjoying himself. Azeroth gets more frustrated and attacks again, but Kratos dodges it easily once again. Kratos thinks just dodging is not enough to defeat Azeroth, but he is happy because he has realized something important. This world shares the same rules as the game. As soon as he realizes this, a screen pops up to tell him that he has realized the setting of this world and has also succeeded at dodging his enemies' attacks with high concentration. As a reward, a part of the game system that is used by the playable character has been unlocked, and that is targeting function. Kratos can see the targeting that is used when using special skills, so he scratches at his hand and uses Bloody Strike at Azeroth, burning him to a crisp. The three generals are shocked to witness that while the demon audience cheers for their demon lord. Kriegos stands in front of Bert Azeroth, but the guy is still alive even after being hit by Bloody Strike, which causes instant death in the game. Kratos knows that Azeroth has great recovery, so he will recover his energy in no time. Kratos attacks the Bloody Strikes again and again. The demon generals tremble as they see that Kratos is attacking Azeroth to the extent that he won't die while causing him pain. On the other hand, Kratos is troubled because Azeroth is not dying even after his most powerful move. The system notifies that he has torn off Azeroth's clothes and he is naked now. What's more, it unlocked a new system called Inventory Armor Removal. Kratos browses through the system to see if there is some good armor there, but there's nothing more than what he is currently wearing. Kratos closes the system since he needs to take care of Azeroth first. He realizes that since Azeroth is not dead, he can still target him and continue firing Bloody Strikes. He can infuse the ground with tons of nitrogen. Yes, he is the smartest. The other three generals are definitely scared of him, so his free labor as well. Kratos orders Serbia to tie up Azeroth tightly. Serbia thinks he is asking her to tie up a naked man tightly, both her and Asura at the same time. Step 1 is the lightning rod, which has been prepared, but he wakes up after his complete recovery and threatens to cut off Kratos' head. However, Kratos attacks him with a Bloody Strike, which is step 2. With this, he can oxidize the nitrogen in the Arrington Megtreat. Next, Kratos orders Hardock to cover the whole area with fog so thick that water flows. Hardock is impressed that Kratos wants to make this whole place wet so he can make his lightning more painful. He does as he is told and sprinkles water on Ashrat, completing the third step. Step 4 is strike and repeat, so Kratos attacks with Bloody Strike even if it hurts. Zephyrus remains indifferent, while the other generals are astounded after witnessing such cruelty. Kratos is super excited because he can make the land here good ground with nitrogen and get a bountiful harvest. Thus, the onslaught continues for a good amount of time. Kratos analyzes the soil and finds that he just needs to keep infusing nitrogen using this method. The next task is improving the soil. This loose malevolent structure soil neither allows oxygen to enter nor drains water well. For farming, crumbly granular structure soil is ideal, which is why the thing he has to create now is manure. So the demon lord orders his subjects to get him shit. The three demon generals are beyond shocked that after making an example out of and grilling him, Kratos now wants to smear him with shit. They think he is unbelievably cruel. Somewhere far away, aged Kimchi is roaming the forest when he hears someone call for help. He approaches the men who claim to be attacked by a group of goblins and want his help. Aged Kimchi steps forward, but the duo is frightened to see him. Aged Kimchi assures them that he is not suspicious, but the men think he is freaking horrifyingly suspicious. However, Aged Kimchi asks if the man hurt his leg, hoists the guy onto his shoulder without any prior notice, and asks the other man to lead the way. The man on his shoulder calms down and introduces himself as Riva Azurhan and his servant as Jalfrantera. Reve asks who his benefactor is, but the man says that is what he needs to find out starting from now. At the Demon Lord's castle, the three demon generals are troubled. The agenda is bringing poop to the Demon Lord. Hardock wonders if they have to make it on the spot or something. Sergei thinks it is gross and disgusting. Bale reveals that it has been a while since Bo last ate, so he can't poop, and Sergei does not poop either. Sergei snaps at him for discussing her poop business. Even if they can poop, Hartak does not want to submit his own, so he decides to beat up the low-ranking demons and make them start pooping. This leads them to the slums of the demon land where a poor demon is begging everyone to wait outside since he can't poop with all of them watching. The guard tells him that the others said the same thing but could not poop in the end. Hardock arrives at the scene and asks the demon if he can't provide no matter what. The demon tells him that he has not eaten in a while, so it is impossible. However, Hardock grabs him from the neck and starts attacking him. Before his attack can land on the demon, Bottle grabs his hand to stop him from attacking. He says that if Hardock takes the life of the demon, they won't get any poop. Hardock throws the demon away, saying Ball is smart for saying something like this. He can feed them Ball's meat to make them defecate. The two generals stare at each other while the demon shivers in fear. They gash towards each other to attack, but Kratos is faster as he electrocutes the two of them while telling them that humans are not the only animals that can defecate. In the Demon Lord's court, Kratos tells his subjects that there is no use for feces that have no nutritional value. They need to look for feces that can be used for manure, the ingredient that provides the field with nutrients. Normally, manure is made with wooden ashes, weeds, soil, eggshells, and chicken feces. For the wooden ashes and weeds, they can just use the empty houses in the slums. The problem is eggshells and chicken feces, but Kratos remembers something suddenly and asks the Sephiroth to bring him the map of their land. Seeing the map of the demon land, Kratos is sure that the map is exactly the same as the one from the game. So he will be able to find the habitat of the demon seagulls if he goes to the right location. In the game, there were plenty of them all over the field, indicating that seagulls can ingest a deal of nutrients from the human lands. Then they poop and lay eggs in their habitat, so it is the perfect place to get the needed resources. Sephiroth seems to have catch on that Kratos intends to collect the feces of the demon seagulls and tells him that the place is called the cliff from which one can return. Kratos already knows that because that place was not systematically available for players to reach. However, he says he can climb it, and his men reach the location of the demon seagulls. His generals have no idea what Kratos is thinking, but they know that many have challenged to hunt those seagulls for a very long time, but they all end up falling prey to the waves. Kratos tells them that he will climb to the top and throw down the bag that will contain feces and eggshells. They need to make sure to catch it because if this plan succeeds, everyone will be fed well. Hearing this, Bale can't help but think about all the starving demons he has encountered. Krago steps forward and remembers his 13th playthrough when he tried everything to get up there. He tried hundreds of times, dying over and over again in the process, but in the end, he succeeded by abusing a glitch. The Demon Lord runs at full speed, jumps, and clutches his claws into the stone. He is about to slip, but he opens the equipment inventory in the system and unequips all. His subjects are shocked to see him is naked but sticking out of the stone, they can't seem to say a word out. Kratos then proceeds to roll his body, but Sergei closes her eyes and looks away in shame. However, Kratos equips all once again as he turns over, making Sergei look in once again. He unequips all and rolls over, and the cycle continues until he reaches the top of the cliff and stands proudly at his feet. A game world where the game system is shared, an equipment inventory, and the edge of the map that supposedly no one can ever reach. Putting all these facts together, he experimented and was convinced that it was possible. Bale decides to help the Demon Lord since he said he will feed them all. Sephiroth tries to stop him, but Bol starts running towards the cliff. Kratos watches in shock as Bol takes the leap but slips. A naked Kratos grabs his hand, but the guy is too heavy for his arm strength. Kratos does not even know why he is trying to save this guy when he is one of the 4 demon generals and a threat to him. The Demon Lord shouts out loud that he has no reason to help him. He suddenly remembers someone begging him to talk to the professor since he was not admitting an essay to keep the student as a work slave forever. The boy told him that Jankul was a favorite student, so he might listen to him. However, Jankul refused him simply because he was scared of falling out of favor and putting himself in a disadvantageous situation. Now, thinks he might have been able to help that guy if he had tried a little more. If he squeezed everything, he had a bit more. If he tried his best to his absolute muscles, his face and his memories might have been him smiling instead. The Demon Lord yells out loud and uses every bit of his strength to yank Ball on top of the cliff. Kratos also reaches the top, but his arm is severely damaged at this point. Ball says that Kratos has no reason to save him at the cost of getting hurt, but the Demon Lord says that it hurts less than abandoning his follower. Ball feels so touched that he starts crying. Kratos thinks this is what he should have done for his junior, but he can only apologize now. The system screen pops out to tell him that he has earned the sincere gratitude from Ball, one of the 4 demon generals. At this achievement, the system unlocks Happy Point. Back at the HP accumulation system, Kratos thinks he knows what Happy Points are. It is something that can get him a discount for ice cream. The system snaps at his thoughts, asking what kind of game world would sell ice cream. It explains that for each soldier in the demon army who feels happy from a full stomach, Kriegos will gain 1 happy point. He can use these points to purchase states as he is only able to use 20% of the Demon Lord's strength. In order to purchase 10% more stamina, he needs 50 HP points. He can also purchase skill enhancement, but it requires 250 HP points. Kratos is currently too broke, but if he can successfully farm, he can gather a substantial amount of HP, becoming super strong and increasing his survival rate. Moreover, to be thanked by someone could feel pretty good. Ball thinks Kreta's face is telling him that he will rip him apart immediately if he does not listen to what he says since he owes him his life now. The Demon Lord addresses his subject standing below the cliff and tells them to catch the eggshells filled with poop. Before they can even process it, the poop comes flying on their face. Kratos does not stop the assault because he is determined to give it their all for the sake of farming. Under the Demon Lord's guidance, he learned that the first step to making manure is seagull shit, eggshells, birch tree ashes, and soil all mixed and grind together. Kratos orders Sobia to grind it all since she has many arms, but she refuses, saying that her arms are not meant for mixing shit. Hearing that, Kratos offers her an easier task of just staying still like Azeroth. After that, her arms move like there's no tomorrow. Kratos internally admits that he got scared for a minute there, but he is the Demon Lord, so he will push on with guts and force. The second step of making manure is to add water, so he asks Hardock to fill the area with fog. However, Hardock refuses, saying that the stench will become unbearable due to moisture. Kratos just points at Ashrat, and the man hurriedly summons the fog. Bell tests that the moisture is as much as the Demon Lord said. The third step is to place the manure in a dry place and cover it with a blanket made of seagull feathers. However, just making a bit of it would take a very long time, and in order to make enough manure to cover the vast land, Kratos has no choice but to mobilize all the demons. There's something that bothers him, but it has to be done now. He will push ahead with the authority of the Demon Lord. In the demon slums, inside a worn-out cottage, a demon sits beside his bedridden daughter, Flute. She tells him to eat her, but he gets angry at her for saying something like this again. A tear drops from her eyes as she says that she misses her mother. She remembers how a demon was about to eat her out of starvation, but her mother came between them and sacrificed herself. However, her father thinks that he has no reason to live if she is not around. Suddenly, door opens and the Demon Lord enters the cottage. Kratos notices that the man still has the strength to shout and orders him to be taken. The demon cries as he begs that his daughter will be eaten by the higher-ranked demons if he leaves, but Kratos does not listen. He turns to look at the crying demon girl and remembers that he eliminated her without any second thought while he was playing. He turns away and orders his soldiers to stop all illegal acts of eating their own kind. He is the Demon Lord, so tyranny of this level is alright in order to achieve his goal because the role of a leader is to bear some sacrifices. The demons are laboring for the sake of manure, but there are voices that say that they are wasting their strength when they have nothing to plant even on a fertile land. Kratos approaches them and asks if they are curious what they will plant and prompts the demon to follow him. Kratos remembers the purple flower he saw some time ago and thinks that it is something that can be planted. The demon is confused. Kratos explains that they are going to plant this flower's roots. The demon is shocked to hear that and informs Kratos that the roots of this plant can't be eaten as it causes extreme abdominal pain that can be fatal. Kratos plucks the plant as he tells him that there is nothing other than is on this land that can even be chewed. So the experiment to test if this can be eaten or not should be concluded about now on his daughter Flute. The demon is horrified and runs to his house, praying that his innocent daughter did not eat it. However, when he reaches his house, Zephyros and Ball are already inside and Flute is chewing on something. She even tells him that she feels full rather than pain. The demon trembles as he confirms whether his daughter is really fine. She assures him that she ate yesterday as well but did not feel anything. Kratos also arrives at the cottage and explains that humans of a certain land also made this poisonous plant edible somehow. They successfully cultivated it and were able to resolve their hunger issues, and that food is known as a potato. Flune expresses her gratitude at being fed by the Demon Lord, and the system notification informs Kratos that he receives an HP point for the very first time. Kratos stares at the little girl and his mind overlaps it with the demon girl he ended in the game, now smiling. Kratos thinks he does not have to always look serious just because he is the Demon Lord. So he smiles when he tells her that brat like her just has to eat her fill and grow up tall. However, the others think he is trying to fatten her up so he can eat her. He is really an evil Demon Lord. The Demon Lord castle lies in the deepest place in the vast territory of the Demon Lord, Chavendant, where the territory is divided into 5 areas and this is located in the deepest. It is freezing cold at night and burning hot in the day, reminding one of the Andean highlands. In the past, people in the Andes did not have enough food to eat, so they ended up eating poisonous wild potatoes. However, they did not die because you know what humans are like. They are capable of turning things that you ask them not to eat edible. Once all the potatoes have been laid out, Kratos orders Bale to crush them. They freeze the potatoes for 5 nights and then use balls, meter, stomp on them after melting them during the day. In this way, the poison within the potatoes leak out and evaporate. In short, they freeze, melt, stomp, and evaporate the potatoes. After repeating this process, they dry and store the potatoes slightly before cooking them. Then they become edible wild potatoes, a completion of Chuno. Kratos orders Zephyros to gather the faring squad because it's snack time. Kratos thinks they are going to enjoy eating this. Once everyone is gathered, Kratos orders them to take only 2 each since there is not that much food. Zephyros thinks they can just make more of them since they have the potatoes, but Kratos doubts that because it is far from sufficient if they want to feed the whole demon army. Therefore, they need to plant the remaining potatoes and grow them 1,000-fold. However, the problem on hand is that the farmer demons doubt they can eat these potatoes. Flute's father assures them that the demon lord has changed it to be eaten as Flute is fine after eating it. However, the others do not believe him because the demon lord does not have the face of someone who can give them food. He seems to look forward to them eating the potatoes and then rolling on the ground until they die. Fug's father throws a potato into his mouth, chews it, gulps it down his throat, and praises the demon lord as he cries. After the farming squad observes the first person who ate it, they all eat the Chuno quickly and realize that the demon lord really gave them food that can be eaten. They all start chanting, "Yes, Kratos. Yes, Kratos." But the demon lord does not really like the chat and decides to change it later. Zephyros observes him to conclude that Kratos has no doubt he will be able to make edible food on this barren land. As the farmers are fed, Kratos gains 50 more HP points. He can make himself a little stronger now, but he does not know what will benefit him the most right now, so he decides to gather more points first. He's just thinking about splitting the manure squad and the potato gathering squad, but Zephyros beats him to it and orders the farming squad to let the whole village know that edible food can be grown even on this land. He announces that the demons who dig up wild potatoes will be given food vouchers that can be exchanged for Chunos. Kratos has to admit that Zephyros has a good head on his shoulders, even though he's annoying. Due to this plan, the demons of the village faithfully dig up all the potatoes for him. One side will keep producing Chunos that can be eaten, while the other will make manure. Adurite is planted in the middle of the land, and Kratos strike him with lightning to produce nitrogen. There is enough manure now, so it is time to move to the next step. They need to spread manure evenly across the land, but the land is too vast. That is way too much land for the farming squad who are surviving only on a few balls of Chunos to cover. In the background, Azurite wishes to die, but Kratos strikes him with lightning again because a great demon general who functions well even while starving, even without rest, can work for a long time. Kratos wonders if he really has no choice but to wait. The thing is, Zephyros, ever the intelligent, already requested more troops from the Star Masters. He sent word to stop them from attacking and providing as many troops as possible for farming. While he has sent messengers to the 4 Star Masters who manage each area, they still have not received replies from any of them. Kratos wonders if the messengers collapse from hunger on the way there, but it really is too tough to spread the manure with the current number of troops. At Demon Lands, 1st Star Area and the Cliff of the Dead, a ghost reports that the Demon Lord Kratos has started farming for real and even created some edible food. 1st Star Master and the Father of the Dead, Seraphil, believes that the Demon Lord has taken this course because he is scared of him. Since he becomes stronger, when more demons die, Kratos stopped the war and is reducing the number of people dying of starvation to keep check on him. Seraphil's men have already taken care of all the messengers who were sent to the other star areas, and so the other Star Master have no idea about the war being stopped and the farming. Seraphil wants all the demons to die of starvation so that they can become his food in his army in order to eliminate Kratos and become the Demon Lord himself. Seraphil orders his aide, Fikimir, to destroy everything related to farming that Kratos has done. Ashrat is trembling in the cold night, making Fikimir believe that Kratos is very vicious to turn Ashrat into a living corpse to make an example of him. He assures Ashrat that Sarvathal likes his aggressiveness, so he will take him in after eliminating Kratos. He summons his wraiths and order them to destroy the wasteland till it can never be used again. The wraiths heed his command and tell him about the manure that the scout demon mentioned. Fikimir orders them to throw it all over the land. He worries that they might regather it to reuse, so he orders wraiths to scatter it evenly everywhere. Mix it into the ground to the point that not even a single manure can be seen. He laughs hysterically, but Ajurat stares at him with a deadpan expression. He remembers Kratos mentioning that the manure needs to be granted finely and mixed into the ground, but it is a tough job for only the farming squad to be doing it. Fikimir and his minions start doing the task, leaving Ashrat contemplating what they are trying to achieve here. One lazy wraith sits on a rock saying that there is no end to it. The angry wraith tells him to stop lazing around because if there are any bits left unturned, the Demon Lord Kratos will make it a farmland. The lazy wraith looks at the hard-working wraith working when used to lies around with him before. The hard-working one says that he just feels proud when he sees that they have done something productive. The lazy wraith calls him an idiot, but decides to become an idiot himself just for today. They work so hard that they lose track of time, and the sunshine causes them to perish. However, a death like this is not bad. They were productive after all. Fikamiya watches their serene departure with teary eyes and wishes them a nice place to rest. Now he has to see how Kratos reacts. In the potato warehouse, Kratos analyzes that all the potatoes are in dormant state. He explains that these potatoes won't grow sprouts, there is no use even if they plant them. It is like if a potato was peacefully sleeping in the earth and someone just yanked it out by the hair. The potato then passed out from the shock, its biological rhythm paused. Their dormancy will end if Kratos leaves them for about 2 to 3 weeks in 4 degrees Celsius and then move them someplace warmer and dark. He wanted Serbia to imbue them with her cold energy, but she is really angry right now. Hardock is up to something as well. Won't be able to avoid those two attacking him together, so he needs to think of another way. It's okay to raise the storage temperature to about 23 degrees, so he had the farmer soldiers do squats, but they all get tired soon, so that was a failure as well. Having no other choice, the demon lord decides to head to the farms and do what he can do at the moment. Once he reaches the farms, Kratos is shocked to see that the dirt is well mixed up with the manure, causing the whole area to stink. Kratos realizes that the land is ready for planting and thinks of it as a miracle. Fikama thinks he succeeded when he watches Kratos make a shocked expression. However, Bale appears behind him and presents the hidden guy to the demon lord. Kratos recognizes Fikama, one of the bosses from the Cliff of the Dead, but he questions if he came here on his own after hearing the call reinforcements. Kriegos asks him, but Fikama hesitates, so Kratos throws a punch on his face. Zephyros asks why he is hitting him before he even has the chance to answer. Kratos replies that it looked like he was trying to hide something, and beating someone is the most efficient way to deal with that. Fikama still says that he won't spill a word, so Kratos beats him to the point of exhaustion. Therefore, Kratos uses 50 HP to purchase 10% stamina and continues to beat the crap out of Fikama. At last, he admits that he was ordered by Saruthal to mess with the farmland to starve them all. Later, Kratos analyzes that Saruthal did all this to become stronger, but Zephyrus thinks that this is an act of rebellion. He suggests taking down the first Star Master Saruthal to send a warning towards the demons who were complaining because of the suspension of the expedition. Kratos also knows that they will keep getting in the way of his farming if he just leaves them be, but he needs a surefire way to deal with them. Zephyros reminds him that the problem is taking care of Saruthal, because he has the ability to turn his body like that of a ghost. Kratos remembers that even in the game, Saruthal was all over the Cliff of the Dead, which is already a complicated map, so the entire stage was like a game of hide and seek with him. However, Kratos knows that if it is too hard to eliminate pests because they hide, then he just has to pull the pests out of their nests. Floyd stands in front of Ashrat, who only glares at her as he asks what she's looking at. Floyd tells him that it is thanks to the sacrifice that they now have food and thanks him. However, Ashrat gets angry at her for mocking him like that and threatens her, so he runs away. Azurek is determined to eliminate Kratos the moment he gets free, but then he notices something in one part of the farmland. As he squints his eyes, he sees that Kratos and the farmer squad are celebrating on getting another lightning rod. Azurat connects that pieces and cries happy tears on the belief that he is going to get free and won't have to become rotisserie chicken all day and night. However, Kratos lines up the 2 lightning rods and strikes lightning on them together. Azurite belatedly realizes that Kratos now have 2 lightning rods at his disposal. On the other hand, Saruthal watches his confidant getting roasted on his crystal and cries like a mad old man. Kratos keeps hitting Fikamiya with his lightning and keeps crying for his confidence as he watches it in his crystal ball. Kratos looks at the scout that appeared in the game and knows well that is watching him. But it is a good thing because Kratos wants to make him regret trying to ruin his farming. In the hot sun high in the sky, Flute pokes around the ground with her little tool. Azurat watches her digging around with her tiny hands and asks what she is doing. Flute replies that the Demon Lord, 4 great demon generals, and all the adults are trying to cultivate, so she wants to help in some way as well. Azurat makes fun of her for trying to contribute when the field next to him was plowed by Fikamiya. However, Flute does not get the sarcasm and thanks Fikamiya for plowing it. Fikamiya feels touched and rewarded, but Azurat says it's only because he's getting old. Azurat does not believe that they can farm on this abandoned land because the potato won't even sprout until it is heated. Flute does not pay any mind to his depressive thoughts and dashes towards her new mission, to sprout the potato. Azurat can only sigh because he does not understand what she is doing. At the Demon Lord Castle, Zephyros shares his concerns about the plan. He doubts that Saruthal would come to save Fikamiya if he knows it is obviously a trap. Kratos replies that he knows Saruthal will not come that easily, so he will send in his subordinates first until he is forced to leap from his favorable position. Then they will catch and eliminate all his men. However, Sarufa watches the Demon Lord's army and calls him stupid. He admits that is a pity about for karma, but his true purpose is only to ruin the crops. So, he orders his cursed spirits to attack the warehouse to crush and trample everything. The cursed spirits enter the warehouse, but Kratos is already there, anticipating their arrival. He welcomes them to their graves, which shocks the cursed spirits. Kratos remembers that when he first encountered these devourers in the game, it was desperately difficult. They are the second legion of Surathul who always gather in groups, and if there is a physical contact, they stick to the player and rapidly age them. Moreover, they are annoying because they copy the abilities of whoever they touch. However, there is a way to destroy these monsters, and that is by attacking with lightning attributes, which is Kratos' specialty. The cursed spirits realize that it is a trap and try to run away, but Kratos corrects them that the trap part has yet to come. Kratos' blood is all over the place, and he uses his Phase 2 technique of lightning, that courses through the spilled blood to activate a wide area bloody strike. The lightning hit the cursed spirits, but Kratos does not stop there because they can be hit with a physical attack now. The Demon Lord deploys farming squad for a good squad who make an entry and start fighting. Even if the farmers look scrawny and unimpressive, they are the final map mob, so they are unstoppable as long as physical attack works. Kratos now really feels like he's a truly cold-blooded brilliant king who belongs in this world. He notices that some cursed spirits have yet to be electrocuted, so he gets to work. He hears someone shout, which makes him turn around to see that Flute in the pile of potatoes about to be attacked by a cursed spirit. Her father desperately calls for her, but Kratos moves faster than him and throws a potato towards the cursed spirit, because the blood won't reach there on time. Yevgeny thinks he is an idiot for throwing a potato at a cursed spirit, but unexpectedly, the potato hits the cursed spirit. The cursed spirit touches the potato, causing something pink to release and the potato to sprout. After all the cursed spirits manage to run away, Kratos turns towards the sprouted potato and realizes that it benefited from the aging, and its biological clock started moving. The Demon Lord picks up Flute and praises her, but it does not seem to be well received. Kratos announces to his farming corps that Surathul's operation is cancelled because they are going to invade instead. Ashrat is so out of his mind right now that he does not remember where he is or what he is living for. He looks at the beautiful sun and feels grateful to just face the source of life. His stomach growls from hunger, but he thinks that he craves life even in this state. Just then, Flute comes to thank him for his advice about potato sprouts and tells him that the Demon Lord gathered a ton of farmer soldiers and went off to sprout potatoes. However, Ashrat can barely make sense of her words because his eyes and mind are set on Chuno's and Flute's hands. He loses all control in front of food, but Flute is kind enough to give him since he is hungry. She throws one with all her might, but the Chuno strikes Ashrat's eye and he threatens to eliminate her. Flute apologizes and tries once again, and finally, one lands in Azuret's mouth at the cost of two landing in his eyes. He cries that the food is so tasty that he feels happy enough for Kratos to gain 1 HP for feeding a member of his army. Kratos has 302 HPs in his system, but he does the math and does not know who this person is. However, he does not care much who it is since the more HP, the better, especially for his raid against Seraphil. The farmer corps are ready to advance for a bountiful harvest. They reach Seraphil's castle, but his minions cut off the bridge leading to it. They laugh thinking the Demon Lord has no way now, but they have clearly underestimated Kratos. He takes a leap but does not reach the entrance, and the minions laugh at him for his stupidity. However, they are speechless to see the great Demon Lord but naked sticking out on the cliff. The minions clearly feel uncomfortable, but Kratos uses this special ability to reach the entrance at full speed. The minions run away from disgust and fear. Kratos points towards Zephyros to signal him for the plan, and the guy nods his head in acknowledgement. Kratos dashes inside alone because according to his brilliant strategic plan, the wraiths should be terrified of potatoes, but if he goes in alone, will order his wraiths to attack him with no fear. As expected, the wraiths come after him, but Kratos uses secret technique, quantum leap move to climb the walls and disappear into them. The wraiths panic when they can't find him, but Kratos makes sure to appear every now and then to lure each one of them. This is the 19th time he has done it. He has seen every corner of this map. He combines all the areas where enemies appeared in the game into one place and lures them into one spot. He stops the race, think that he is tired from running around that much even if he is the Demon Lord. Kriegos corrects them that he is not a Demon Lord right now, but a veteran player. Just then, Zephyros appears with the farming courts and orders them to make the potato sprout. The farming squad throws potatoes towards wraiths from all direction and make them sprout thanks to their aging ability. Zephyros is unsure of this plan at first, but he has to admit that the Demon Lord was spot on once again. Kratos told him to take the farmer course and follow the given map while he heard wraiths in one place. Even at that time, Zephyros thought that the map's a dead end, but Kratos told him that it was a shortcut. Kratos remembers that after escaping the horrifying Cliff of the Dead, right before reaching the final map, he scored the area and found it. He noticed that there was nothing there, but it was made with such great detail. After finding the texture a bit different at one spot, he used his sword to open up a path. The tunnel connected to place where players had their first battle with Bountiful in this cave. He did not understand at the moment, but it turned out that the players can come in after clearing the area to obtain the elixir of metamorphosis, the compressed soul of countless dead meat pile which can only be consumed once, but no one knows what might happen after taking it. The farmers celebrate the sprouting of potatoes because they can finally live and eat their fill. Watching this scene incites an old memory of Jankiel where his granny promised him that he just needs to wait a bit more to have full dinner, but that promise was never fulfilled. That is one painful memory, so Kratos announces that anyone who tries to get in the way of their eating will be completely wrecked. Bale approaches him and asks to join the fight with Bountiful since the enemy is strong. However, Kratos tells him to just carry the potatoes because this is a job for the boss. Bountiful stands in front of the Heart of Ice crystal and prays for it to buy more spirits to grant him more power. However, Kratos suddenly comes and kicks him right in front of the said crystal. Bountiful asks how he reached this place, but Kratos says it does not matter how he reached here because it is time to exterminate pests. Kratos and Bountiful face off each other in a final battle. Bountiful calls him a fool for coming alone here thinking he could defeat him when he has never seen his true power. Kratos wants to tell him that he has seen his true power 19 times in fact. When the player was chasing Bountiful, who kept running throughout the Cliff of the Dead, the player kept running into his underlings. In the end, when the player ended up wiping out all the mobs in the area, he ran into this room, where the heart of the Frost Spirit resides. It is a terrifying artifact said to be created by an ancient dragon in exchange for its life. The artifact binds the dead to the world of the living with a soul-piercing coldness. However, before Bountiful could use it to summon more minions, the paladin arrived and the final battle began. That is when he revealed his true power. Kratos patiently waits as Bountiful undergoes a tornado transformation and comes out as the copy of the Demon Lord. His copy mode copies all the stats of the enemy to the last point, gaining max power. However, the version he copies right now is the current Demon Lord Kratos, which means he is not that strong. Bountiful dashes towards him to attack, but Kratos uses to gain more agility and easily dodges the attack and counterattacks. Bountiful comes at him with a punch, but Kratos upgrades his strength and counters for the punch. Bountiful cries in pain, but he does not know how Kratos is still fine. Kratos replies that just like in farming, he is using his head to get the results. Bountiful snaps at that and initiates an attack, but Kratos upgrades his magic and mind and uses his bloody strike to roast Bountiful. He cries in pain and deforms to become a drop of water. The system notifies that since he upgraded all his stats, growth quest is completed, and he unlocked the throne and the Farmer King. It is a throne belonging to the Famer King equipped with various strong and sturdy fame and tools. Kratos is impressed because he needs some new tools. However, Bountiful awakens, but Kratos is not impressed because his second phase right at the end is pretty cliché. Anyways, Bountiful transforms into his true form, Ancient Evil Dragon. Now Kratos is impressed by his attack power and HP pool and has to admit that Bountiful really is the boss before the final boss zone. But Kratos is not scared because he came straight from the final boss zone. Bountiful looks at the arm behind him and suggests talking it over. The Farmer Corps attack him for disturbing their farmland with no mercy whatsoever. Kratos watches from the sidelines even though he really wanted to beat Bountiful in a fair fight. However, even he thinks that it is taking Bountiful too long to die. So Kratos summons Throne, the Farmer King that comes from the sky and lands right on top of Bountiful. The Demon Lord seems surprised for some reason, but his farming squad praises him for doing something so evil and chant the slogan. Kratos does not care anymore and laughs hysterically to match his evil personality. On the other hand, Fakama is liberated and heads to the afterlife peacefully. All the fields have been plowed, and potato sprouts are blooming beautifully. Even the pests threatening the harvest have been dealt with. Now it is time to plant potatoes. But the blue crystal, attracting the attention of the Demon Lord. The system informs him the Cliff of the Dead has been cleared 20 times, so as a reward, a hidden event has been triggered. The true power that has been abused and trapped within the heart of the Frost Spirit is no awakening. The crystal opens up like a space capsule and a cute little dragon pops out of it. The baby dragon pops out of the crystal, watches Kratos and perceives him as his daddy. Kratos takes the little thing in his hands, making it giggle. The baby dragon hatch formed the egg, but it was dark the whole time and he was so scared, but now he has a daddy. Kratos smiles saying that the dragon is kinda cute if the little guy trembles. The whole farming squad wants to eat the little dragon, but Kratos tells them that they are going to raise him first so that they get more meat. The baby dragon cries because his daddy is planning to eat him. When they reach their land, the whole village is out to welcome them. Families reunite, and the baby dragon notices that everyone is giving off such warm energy. For a moment, he thinks that they are not scary creature, but seeing the face of his daddy makes his remember that they are still scary. At the human lord's castle, the baby dragon is hiding in a corner. He peeks at his daddy and is sure that he is waiting for him to grow up. In reality, Kratos is troubled because he does not know what to feed the baby dragon. He heard that baby dragons eat refined gems, but there are not even gems here, just piles of rusted metal. Zephyros comes to report that they are having trouble building raised beds, but Kratos expected as much. They need to raise the soil between furrows or plot borders to plant crops. Naturally, they just need soil to do this, but there are way too many rocks in this land. The baby dragon watches the faming squad working and wonders if he is going to be worked to the bone like these slaves. Kratos scowls thinking that it is not a field but a mine. If they mobilize this many people every day, they will burn through the reserve of tunos prepared for reward too fast. He wishes he could summon beasts like other manga protagonists, like a woman who could pop out and just clear all the rocks for him. However, he only has a little girl working her best in the fields. Watching her only makes Kratos scold himself for whining. Someone yells out about the blade wind, making Kratos look at the tornado approaching them. Kratos curses because he forgot about the blade wind that appeared randomly while crossing this wide wasteland. On one gets caught in that, you will be shredded to pieces and die in an instant. He immediately barks out orders to take cover behind the rocks and get down as flat as they can. The demon lord also runs because he can feel the pressure even though the blade wind is so far away. While everyone is running towards the big rocks, Flute takes the opposite direction to go save Asura. Her father calls for her, but Kratos hands the baby dragon to him while he goes after Flute. Bo calls for him because it is too dangerous, but Kratos is well aware of that. It's just that he can't lose their precious lightning rod and hardworking worker. Even Asura tells Flute to get lost, but she keeps on trying to budge the pole. Kratos rushes towards them with the motto that faming is survival and living is war. He tells Flute to move and kicks the pole to break it in half. Adorite falls flat on the ground, but the blade wind starts tearing their skins. Flute tries to untie the knots, but Adorite tells her to just leave because this knot is not something she can untie. Fortunately, Kratos picks up both Flute and a lightning rod. The baby dragon can feel the strength of living creatures. He knows that his daddy is not that strong. And yet, he watches Kratos doing his best to save his subordinates. In the end, Kratos falls, but the baby dragon takes the leap after realizing that his dad is a kind creature. The baby dragon reaches the area of blade wind, breathes in, and throws a shower of ice towards it. Kratos realizes that the blade wind weakened because the cold weakened the updraft. He watches the little guy throw more ice, but Kratos worries that it is too much for a baby dragon. He loses consciousness, but thankfully, high subordinates come to their rescue. But can they escape from the clutches of the blade wind? At the Demon Lord's castle, Kratos is resting on his bed when Hartuk and Sergei approach his room. They are well aware that Kratos is down right now, so they plan to cut his head off and take down Baal and Asurat. Then, one of them will become the Demon Lord, but until then, they are allies. They open the door, approach the Demon Lord to launch an attack. However, they are shocked to find that Kratos has both his eyes and mouth wide open. They tremble just thinking that Kratos knew about their plan, was waiting with his eyes wide open, but this is their only chance, so they move to attack once again. However, this time, the arrival of Baal and Asurat stop them. Baal tells them to not wake up the sleeping Demon Lord, and that is when they find that was the Demon Lord's sleeping face. Baal further warns them that he won't hold back if they wake up the Demon Lord. Hartuk gets that Baal is dumb, but he does not understand why Ashrat is also siding with a lunatic who wants to farm. Ashrat replies that he just owes Kratos, so he is paying it back. Next time, he might be on their side. Hartuk tries to reason him that the farming will fail and everyone will starve. Adorite agrees with him, but when he remembers Flute and her tiny hands holding a shovel, he says that when they are not starving, they have to risk their lives, and if he is going to risk his life anyway, he prefers fighting. Hartuk warns them that they will regret this and leaves with Sergei and Tau. After they leave, the Demon Lord wakes up, but he is surprised to see Azeroth there. Azeroth smirks as he says that he was not taking sides but was only repaying the debt. However, Kratos questions that what kind of lightning rod walks around talking and strikes him with lighting on the spot. They head to the farmland where Kratos barks out that they have no time to waste because they need to sort out the rocks. However, Bolt tells him that the rocks are almost gone and Zephyros is piling up soil. The lightning rod I placed at his position while Kratos asked Zephyros how he got rid of all the rocks. Zephyros points towards the baby dragon Taibong, who is collecting the rocks in his mouth like a vacuum. Even munches on them and gulps them down. Taibong thinks that he is too small, so he could not black the blade wind. He's eating a lot now without being picky, so they can grow faster. Kratos calls his son and even hugs the cute little thing. Kratos thinks that blade winds do not come often, and it takes time for it to grow in size. Tybomb can watch them from the sky and shoot cold air to stop it in advance. The field is almost ready, so it is time to handle the potatoes. Zephyros tells him that the supply of tuna given as a reward is running low and asked if they should make more. Kratos tells him there is no need because he knows that the first enemy of farming is natural disasters and next is financial pressure. These are the walls they have to overcome. In her chambers, Sergei takes off her helmet to reveal a beauty inside. However, she smells like poop even though she's been refusing to do field work and stayed in for days. There's a knock on her door, and Kratos tells her that he needs to talk to her for a moment. The Demon Lord has never come to her room before, so he refuses to talk to him. Kriegers asks her to open the door, but she tells him not to say stuff that could be misunderstood. The Demon Lord stubbornly keeps asking her, so she snaps at him, but then she shrieks because the Demon Lord passes through the door using his special technique. Sergei yells at him for barging into a lady's room, but Kratos bows in front of her. This leaves Sergei surprised, but Kratos says he can't do anything without her. Sergei is really confused, but starts blushing slowly. In reality, the Demon Lord is willing to kneel to save on costs because he needs her sharp and precise blade right now. Sergei starts blushing and twirls her hair as she says that she will listen to him if he is going that far. They arrive in front of a mountain of potato, and Kratos tells her to cut some potatoes because they need to cut them and have to plant them. Sergei is dumbfounded and furious of being played by the Demon Lord.